Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm sorry. Happy Columbus Day.
Oh, I knew you were going to throw that in.
Sorry, I had to do
It's
it.
all right. No,
So super excited tonight. We have Layne Petrie,
Correct.
not to be confused with Petrie of the Dick Van Dyke Show. We just learned something about her here tonight. She is a candidate for school committee. She has the good fortune of being number 2 on the ballot, which may or may not come up tonight. But we're super, super happy to have her here just to kind of recover the ground rules like we always do. Look, we want to hear why you're running in the beginning, and then we've sent you the topics, but we do like free-flowing conversation. You feel like you have something you want to throw in at any point, please do. You can shift gears with us too. You can ask us questions. I mean, this is fair. Before I turn it over to you to give us a little intro, I wanted to ask Scott if he had anything to add before we let you go, because this is your show.
No. Thanks for coming on. Live streaming isn't easy. It's not a Zoom call. This is going out, and this show is it's catching a little traction. We're averaging at least 200 after views, usually a week, if not more. So people are watching. Not to put any pressure on you, it's
not what you said at the fair.
Well, I no-show you, and I'm here.
No, but thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We welcome anybody to come on to this show, regardless of left, right, conservative, progressive. We're not here to submarine anybody. We're not here to torpedo or sneak attack anybody. The show is, we try to keep it as down the middle as we possibly can. So sometimes we veer off course. It's a ship in the ocean, So, and with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. I'm Layne. I've lived in Winthrop for 6 years now, since I bought my house. I've been involved in public schools my whole professional career, and I get a feel for how they operate. I have a daughter who's in the public school system. And so I thought now would be as good a time as any to get involved. That's why I want to run for school committee.
Very good. That's a good download. So just for the general public that's watching or will watch future replays of this, I've had two conversations with Layne, and I want to be like, look, we are definitely a more conservative audience here.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have your work cut out for you to try to get any votes here.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say,
I don't know. I think you'd be surprised, and I don't mean to disagree with the host. I'm just the co-host.
That's fine.
And producer, but I think we get more people watching than we know, because it's a public the Facebook group isn't private.
That's
so anybody can watch it. So
yeah, that's fair. Let me restate. Getting some of the folks on our side is going to be really your task here, right? But I've had 2 conversations with her, and I have to say, then she's not as she has been billed as the rumor mills have been billed around Winthrop. So with that said, what's that?
You said I'm in the rumor mills?
Well, you're running for an important seat in that school committee, and I think based on our conversations, pretty well where I stand on what needs to happen. I think there's probably, though, a fair amount of people here that tonight that you're going to impress. But I want to get started on the big question. Okay, this is the question. So I had asked for outreach. I outreached to our membership or viewers or whatever we want to call the people in our community. I outreached and asked for input about questions, and one of the biggest ones that kept coming up was where how you looked at last year in school. Do you think? And I'm kind of cramming the questions together because I don't want to ask them all. Where do you stand on how that was handled, keeping the kids out of school for as long as they did?
Obviously, in-school learning is what's best. It's socially what's best. It's easier access to materials, easier access to instructors. It's more accessible for kids. Not everybody has good internet connections and everything else. And learning on a screen is just flat out not ideal. I personally have been back in the building since last fall. I work in special education, and I've been delivering in-person instruction services, academic support, evaluations, all of that this whole time. I think it could have been done for the general education population. I do. I think obviously we needed to have taken some measures, and people dragged their feet with some of that stuff, like figuring out if we're keeping doors open or closed. It really should have just been a pretty simple conversation to have. Air filters, all of that. You got to find the money for it. So I get where some of the hangups were, but I do think we could have had kids back in the building.
Okay, so I'm actually floored by the answer, and I'm glad to hear that. Wow. So why do you think we didn't have kids in the building? What happened? Why? I mean, because look, you are in the thick of it, right? You said Boston Public Schools. They right? Okay. Why? What happened here in Massachusetts?
Well, people are afraid, and I think that's reasonable.
What people?
Staff.
Okay.
Staff were afraid. From my end, our staff were afraid. The number of phone calls and text messages and FaceTime conversations that I had with people that were in tears. They were fearful. Granted, we also work with a population where the students can't necessarily wear masks, and a lot of them weren't necessarily fearful for their own safety. They were fearful for the kids' safety. But we work with a lot of medically fragile kids. Will you give me a timeout?
I'm about to. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let her talk.
I want to let you get that out, but
this is her show.
I want to break some of these questions down, so we
will
carry on.
Yeah, I mean, people in general, there were stakeholders across the board that I've had conversations with who were scared. I get it.
So I guess the easiest way to kind of break down all of what you said is just ask this question: knowing what we know now, and here is a medical fact: the COVID virus, even in all of its variants, kills less people than the flu. Is it fair to say, one, that we had an irrational fear? Because I can tell you, people will tell you I was insane. I was getting crap because I was exposed to it, and it turned out I caught it. I was outside walking around deliberately because I was being a jerk, but I'm like, I have to be masked. I was filming it. Like, people thought I lost my mind. I'm going, should I stay away from those people? Way over. You know, I was poking people in the eye with it because I thought it was so absurd. So I guess the question within all of my gibberish here is, do you think that really we should have had this fear? Like, where do you stand on that, knowing what we know now about we kills less people than the flu?
Well, hindsight's 2020. And I mean, 2020 sucked.
Go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, we have plenty of time.
I got to chill my embers.
Yes, we have plenty of time. Please let her talk.
But hindsight is 2020. I think I will be honest, at the start of everything, when we were closed down and we couldn't go into buildings and nobody knew up from down, I was hesitant. I have a 5-year-old. Nobody knew what this was going to do to kids. Like, it kind of took a while to gain comfort with it. Listen, we gained comfort, right? And it became the state of the state.
But we knew. So here's the thing that I find funny, and I want to move on from this. I don't want to kill the show on COVID because it's the past.
And it's boring.
And it's just people are sick of it. But here's the thing that I and a lot of people that I know in my circles did. Britain was about 6 months ahead of us. If you followed Britain, you knew what was coming. Fact. In fact, this Delta variant, we followed them almost. All right, I'm getting hyperbolic, but we followed them really, really closely. So we knew, and it had all the behaviors of the flu, with the exception of it was, a much more difficult death for some people. The way it took them and suffocated them. And I don't want to undermine anybody's. I don't want to undermine anybody's fears or concerns or sadness. Every death is a horrible one, but we have to talk about population health. And the point I want to close on, the biggest point right now, that we have kids masked, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but kids being masked in schools now, it's not the issue to die on. We're in school, great, but we shouldn't have had to have the fight to be back in school, and they shouldn't be wearing masks because there is no need for it. If you have a loved one at home that you're worried about, either get them vaccinated because it's 90-something+% effective and they can wear the masks, or keep them away from everybody. But we have to stop. We have to stop this. This has to end because this thing is over. We're there.
All right, listen, let's keep this. We just went way outside the box. All right. This is This is why I'm the producer. We got to bring this in. This isn't our commentary. This is coming to interview her. So I have a question. You said the staff was afraid, right? Fear is contagious. Would you agree?
Fear is contagious. It wasn't just the staff. I think that was a big part of the conversation with opening buildings because, I know, Todd, this is your favorite because the unions were at the table talking about like how are we going to keep everybody safe as we open buildings back up. The conversations were a lot bigger, I think, than a lot of people realize in terms of planning for it. The budget that it cost in order to get the protective equipment for everybody, it was wild. I was on the budgeting planning. We were trying to open buildings up last summer for special education programming. It was a lot. It was wild. It was a whirlwind. It was just a lot. So I think fear coming from staff, administrators, teachers, parents, students. The news, sure.
All right.
Friends and family. I mean, I have families now. I do wish this weren't the case, who are still too afraid to send their students back. And so their students are enrolled in the Commonwealth online schools right now.
Are you a teacher?
I'm an administrator.
You're an administrator in a school.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
A high school, middle school, elementary school?
Yes. Pre-K.
Okay.
I oversee the behavioral programming in East Boston and Charlestown and half of Roxbury.
Okay. All right.
So recently there was a questionnaire that went around, Scott. I don't know if I forget if I made this familiar, but for the viewing audience that may not know about this, there was a group of concerned parents. I think it said teachers, parents, whatever, that wanted to look at all the candidates in what they call the level playing field. So they sent out a bunch of questions to all the candidates, the same questions, and their commentary in the emails, and I'm paraphrasing, was, we're going to take your answers, and the only editing that will be done was to make them fit into a 200-word, box.
Answer.
Yeah, the 200-word answer.
Please keep them to 200 words so that we will not be editing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you.
So turns out 2 out of the 7 responded.
Mm-hmm.
5 did not. I actually found out, I think it was only 1 that never got it. Or never responded to it because I don't think she gave out her. Or was it 2 that didn't give out their contact info or something?
It was 1 or 2. I'm not sure.
So that leaves 3 that didn't respond. And there was an email put up by this concerned parents group that really, if you read it, it was pretty clear to see they were trying to shame the other candidates for not responding. We have been, by the way, reinviting again now, and inviting again. If anybody of the 3 want to come on here and give their side of the story, why they didn't respond, we'd be happy to hear. But I'd like to hear from you, Layne, why you think those 3 folks decided not to participate in this.
This is me hypothesizing because I did respond, but I've been pretty candid, I think, with people. If I'm asked a question in a comment, or if somebody sends me a message or stops me on the street, oh, you're running for school committee, what do you think about this? I'll answer anybody. I'll talk to anybody. So for me, I had no reservations about responding. I think that if I were someone who maybe, let me try to think. If I was concerned about the views of the group of people who are putting the questions out, I might be more hesitant because they can be, not the questions, I don't think the questions were polarizing, but they could be perceived as being polarized. Or if you answer a certain way, or if it's misread, words that I've said have been misread or misconstrued, or people take sound bites. And when you have an argument or an idea about something, you tend to find those things that support your argument and reinforce. That's what feels good. So I think it can be hard. It also can be hard to answer pretty in-depth, I guess, questions within 200 words. I mentioned to you on Saturday that my responses were relatively short, but that's because if I were to have responded any further, it would have been a very lengthy conversation about why I see different aspects of that question or different aspects of the point that I was trying to make. So I think that might have been part of the hesitation too. They weren't easy questions to answer. It took me a little bit to sit and formulate my thoughts, and people are busy. I think there's a number of reasons why people just might not have responded.
Do you know the people that did that questionnaire?
I do now.
You do now?
I do now.
Did you know them prior to that?
Prior to running for school committee, I did not.
Because
I was introduced to them because somebody had posted on one of the Winthrop Facebook groups, hey, does anybody know who's running for school committee? I've got some questions. My friend actually tagged me and said, I think Layne is. I was still gathering signatures at the time because I was up until the very last hour. And I said, yeah, I'm happy to talk to you. And the way that I responded was received favorably. And then I've been in touch with them ever since.
The problem with that questionnaire was the people that put it together wasn't hard to figure out. If it was a kind of a bipartisan questionnaire that, say, someone like Todd had input into it, I think it would have got more answers. But the people that sent out the questionnaire kind of have a somewhat of a reputation.
I hear what you're saying.
For being progressives, and people are afraid of that. I mean, progressives are aggressive. That's the bottom line. They're just aggressive people. My understanding was one of the people that didn't fill it out got kind of cornered at the Winthrop market by someone and was basically semi-followed around, like, why didn't you fill it out? And then when you see the result that only two people, you and one other candidate, filled it out, they immediately said, we're voting for you, because their feelings were hurt that they didn't get what they wanted. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
I think people's feelings, when you're talking about anybody else's opinions and their takes on certain things, if there's any level of disagreement, your feelings are likely to get hurt anyway, and you're going to find somebody that's not hurting your feelings that you might want to support.
Oh, it's not always the case.
Maybe not, but I think
we're all adults. I mean, it's a questionnaire. It's a questionnaire. How can you get your feelings hurt? But okay, I have a question.
Sure.
What's the most important issue you believe the Winthrop School Committee will need to address if you're elected?
The budget.
And you're put on there. The budget. And you mentioned you have budgetary experience.
Sure. It's more micro budgetary experience. Granted, the amount of money is more than what Winthrop Public Schools is talking about, the experience that I have, but I have no pull in terms of Boston Public Schools. We need more money. That we leave up to my boss. But we try to figure out what to do with the money that we do have. And our budget's also allocated based on staffing needs, and that's all calculated on a drive that I manage. That's just a whole different story altogether.
I'm sorry, can I just clarify? So you're managing a departmental budget that's bigger than the town of Winthrop's school budget, correct?
My boss, yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, special education is quite expensive.
Yeah, it is.
So you work around teachers, you work in the school administrations, and you kind of, the inner workings of the school committees over there in Boston and teachers union. Do you think there's a conflict with you kind of being on that side of the table for a job and then coming to Winthrop and wanting to serve the children of Winthrop?
I could see how one might think there might be. My role is pretty unique in Boston, and the way that I handle my job and myself is pretty unique, I think. I care about the kids. I'm usually the one at the table voicing for what I think kids need, and I'm often the one that's the only one talking, or the one that people have asked to leave the meeting so that they can make a decision behind my back, and then we have to go back and fix it later. So I'm used to that kind of thing. I will staunchly advocate for what I think kids need. For me, I think my experience, my commitment to public schools is a benefit as opposed to a conflict of interest. If this were Boston School Committee, I would be completely ineligible for obvious reasons. And I think, yeah, for sure, if I were to quit my job and then go run for Boston School Committee, yeah, that'd be a huge conflict of interest.
Wendy Millar Page, friend of the show.
Yeah,
I guess I riled some progressives when I made my comment. And Hannah Belcher,
a new
friend of the show.
Friend of the show, yes, sir. It's growing.
I will stand corrected. I think that was too much of a general statement, but I meant it in the sense of, I should have said some progressives can be aggressive. Not all are. And I stand
Anyone
corrected.
who's an extremist in one direction or another can be aggressive about their stances.
That's correct.
The difference being, and we talked about this, the difference being, typically the skinheads, and the further right you go, the further away from you they want to be. But some of these local progressives want to tell you that you need to be vaccinated, you need to wear a mask, you need to listen to us because we know better. And that's kind of, without going off on a tangent. So yeah, I wanted to use the basis of our interview tonight, and mostly mine, I think, is going to be kind of going through some of these questions on the questionnaire, because I think So one of my problems with questionnaires like these is the control. It doesn't allow for free flow of conversation, and you can't put yourself in the best light in words, because I might read your words one way, but you may have intended something different.
Mm-hmm.
So to that end, and I'm just going to pull a couple out. And the first question was, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve on the school committee. You wrote, I have a vested interest in ensuring that we're collectively working to make decisions that will most benefit our students, schools, staff, and community as a whole. And then you went on to say, I put my students first in my full-time job, and I want to do the same for the students of the community in which I live. So tell me how, if you're going to collectively work for everybody up top, how are you going to put the kids first? I find that to be a bit incongruent, but I'd love to give you a chance to explain.
Schools are for kids. So if we're not all collectively working to put the students first, then we're not doing what we should be doing. But that involves all of the stakeholders at the table.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks, because what do you see the school committee's role as? What is a school committee supposed to do?
Right. So kind of keeping things in check, working with the superintendent to make sure that what the goings on and the workings of the school are in line with the policies that are in place, and, making sure that the budget's obviously a huge part of it, and that we're investing our time and energy into things and programs that the schools need, staff training, curricula, materials, all of that good stuff.
So this is where it gets dicey,
mm-hmm.
because the budget.
Right.
And for the listening audience, again, to just level set this thing, first and foremost, I'll give a little bit of history, kind of rough history. Schools' budget's roughly $22 million right now. Every budget year, they typically ask for anywhere from, an increase of $1 to $1.5 million. Okay. And that's typically just to offer level services. So that means what we offered last year, we're going to offer next year. That means no layoffs, no lost none of it, right? That doesn't include contract negotiation on new programs. So essentially, they ask for these big dollars. They typically get about 4.5%. So sometimes they get $1 million, sometimes around. They average about actually $600K. Their thirst, if you will, their addiction to money in the school department is such that nothing happens until you find $800 to $1 million to pay for steps and lanes. For those who don't know what steps and lanes are, this was a contract negotiation that started somewhere in some horrible place and spread across the country like wildfire, because it is a budget buster that gives us nothing in return. Its intent is fantastic. The intent is every level of education you receive and every year of service you give up to a certain max point, you get a bump in pay, either over or up. Move over a lane, go up a step, however it works. The flaw in this is you do not have to get this master's or an advanced education in your field of expertise. You can get it in basket weaving, for God's sakes. And there's been no improvement in outcomes associated with steps and lanes, yet we're still giving it. And this is on top of or under, because every year a new contract comes in with an increase in salaries and benefit costs go up. Like these are serious concerns. To make a long story short, just kind of broadly looking at your responses, everything you want to do requires money. Mm-hmm. Where are you going to get it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have no idea. If I could fabricate it, I would. I think with the steps and lanes comment, I think that is a point of negotiation, that steps. So the step is the years of service, and the lanes is the level of education, is the academic level of education, the number of credits you have. And we talked about this on the phone the other day too, that Winthrop also has a credit reimbursement program for their staff, which frankly is great. If I was looking for a new job and that was something that interested me, that would be a huge plus for me. That'd be a great pro. I do think that there probably should be some stipulations about they'll reimburse up to 80% of the credit cost, but there's no dollar limit. So I could go to Harvard University and take a 3-credit course that's going to cost a lot more than if I were to go to UMass Boston, but it's still 3 credits and you still are up to 80% eligible. I do think that putting some form of check system in there where the courses that are being reimbursed are relevant to what's best for the kids. I think that that's one thing that should be explored. In my department, we were able to, at the last union negotiation, because we have to negotiate, the staff that I supervise are in the teachers union, I'm not, so we have to negotiate with the teachers union in order to make any changes to their job description or expectations that we're setting in place for them. We were able to make their step increase contingent on performance. So if I evaluate one of my staff as not meeting expectations, they're not automatically entitled to a step increase, which is one thing that's like, well, yeah, you should be doing your job. So none of the staff that we supervised took issue with that, because they're like, well, none of us ever don't meet expectations, so why would we have a problem with that? So I think considering things like that, you're not going to make any additional money, you're not going to find any additional money there, but it at least can help, I don't know, soften the blow a little bit, or make sure that what we're spending the money on is effective and best for the students. And frankly, it's not like punitive to the staff. It's, you guys do your job great. We want to celebrate that, and that way it's incentivized.
That's interesting. We talked about this too, I think, when we were on the phone. One of the things I've always believed is, before we started forcing teachers to get their master's degree, K through 6 at least, before we forced master's degrees on teachers, we've been cranking out great academic achievement. In fact, we were higher ranked globally as a public school system than we are now. The public school system is in decline. I don't want to get national here, but nationally they blame money. But I challenge anybody, because this argument comes up all the time, that the schools are getting less, that they're not funded enough. I challenge anybody to find any school district in the Commonwealth that saw a reduction in their overall budget in the last 15 years. I challenge anybody, because I've never seen it, not one time. So that being said, I want to kind of set the stage a little bit here. So when we talk about steps and lanes, that's an interesting idea. You're going to have to give a raise. You're going to have to pay them to make that happen.
Right.
They will not agree to a contract change without also getting more money. So let's just go there. And you're walking into this contract year. So everybody, by the way, I wanted to frame this up for the people listening. In my opinion, there's only one question to ask each of the school committee candidates, based upon, and you don't need to answer this, Layne. You don't need to put yourself in the box. There's only one question you need to ask a school committee candidate. After last year's performance, do they deserve a raise? That's it. That's the only question, in my opinion. And I know I'm being an indignant jerk, but I don't want this teachers union coming in between me and my kids ever again. So let's go back here. So now, if the school's budget is $22 million, okay? If the school's budget is $22 million, and I'm trying to do this because I'm terrible at math, and we just offer the teachers, we settle on even a 0.5% raise, which is not abnormal. It's small. That equates to about $1 million in our budget. Okay. What that equates to for the teachers, a teacher making $40K a year, if you average out the teachers, what that equates to for them is an additional $38 a week. It's about value here. $1.1 million to the district is a hell of a lot more impactful than $38 a week. Is it unreasonable to ask a teacher in a contract year to take a zero so we can bring back a program, maybe give some of the poor people who are not raising their hands for free and reduced lunch a break on athletic fees and activity fees, giving them a break on those so they can participate in more, so they can stay away from their toxic homes that they might live in? What are your thoughts there?
Well, you and I have talked about that, and accessibility for all kids is that's something that I'm firmly in support of. We've had those conversations before in my union, which I know I've spoken very highly about with you, where we've all told our union, we don't need that raise. We've been working seven years at the same rate as we always have. We don't need that raise. Can we just get these things agreed upon in the union and just kind of move on, and we'll call it a day, and we'll talk about the raises the next 3-year cycle or whatever the case might be. So I don't think that it's necessarily unheard of. It's definitely something that happens, that those are conversations at the table. It's going to require some creativity one way or another.
It's actually going to require some bravery.
Yeah.
There is no limit, in my opinion, to how far people will go to get what they want. And let me put it to you this way. I've had some things happen to personal property. I've had things said to and about me. I've had people say things just trying to come after me because I had the nerve to say no. And you're going to be faced with that decision. You're walking into it, and frankly, nothing happens if you got. And by the way, new money's going to be coming in, more new money, more new COVID money, ESSER money, all these different funds, and the unions are going to see that, and they're going to be wanting to get their hooks into it. And the reality is, the town could play some games with the receipts they take in. This is an interesting game they play, and this is actually good to throw out there. So the town collects what's called other receipts, permits, building permits, parking tickets, those sorts of things. They get somewhere between 3 and 5 million, and growing now because we're having a lot more construction. Well, if they get 5 million in from the feds, that's directed money that has to go towards something. Well, they can not spend their $5 million. Hold on to that $5 million receipts. They don't have to spend that money. They won't lose it, so they can hide it, and that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a good idea, but you're going to be faced not only to we can afford to do it. We can on paper afford to do it with all the free money coming in. What do you think about getting on that free money stuff that goes away and becomes an unfunded mandate?
Well, yeah, I mean, ESSER funds, there are certain things that the ESSER funds have to be spent on. There has to be social emotional programming that it's just a requirement. Otherwise, you're not necessarily eligible to receive the rest of it. So finding ways to spend that money on things that are not renewable, I guess. So like, train the trainer type programs where you train somebody within the school district who now knows how to run that program, and they can train the others. You don't have to keep respending the money to get certain programs or staff trained. You train the trainer, you train in-house. Or curricula that once you purchase it, the materials and all of that is available to you. Finding ways where we're not setting ourselves up to spend money that's going to have to then be built into the budget in the future because it's a grant that's not going to come back. We can't do long-term planning with grant money. The ESSER funds conversation is an interesting one. The other thing about ESSER funds is that even though it is given to the districts, each school gets access to their own ESSER funding. So the schools can help make that decision of what they spend their money on. That's not necessarily a school committee decision.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Unless, Scott, anything on budget or anything you want to... Okay, very good. So federal data, this is one of your answers. Forgive me, I have to read the question.
Sure.
The most recent census shows that Winthrop's white population has dropped below 80%, with the Latinx...
I know you love
It's Latin. It's Latin. Latinx is a made-up name.
That's right. With the Latin community showing the largest increase at 12%. Assuming Winthrop will continue to follow this national trend, what challenges and opportunities does this present? How do you think the Winthrop Public School can best serve all students? I was particularly wanted to focus on this part of the response.
Mm-hmm.
Federal data from 2016 indicated that at the time, over 80% of teachers were white.
Mm-hmm.
Representation matters. Mm-hmm. Studies have shown that when students are taught by teachers of the same race or ethnicity as them, there is increased attendance, engagement, and academic performance. Mm-hmm. My first question about this study, how does this account, or can studies like this even account for poor student, like socioeconomic factors? Do these studies look into to broken homes? Do they break the because to me, and where I'm going with this is, and you may be the expert here, to me, it's not as much about the color of one's skin that they respond better to one another. It's more about their socioeconomic environments. And I feel like it always has been. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And there's also correlation causation. Like I'm not going to die on that hill. The two studies that I was referring to, the first one was done in 1995, and it was the Tennessee STAR program. They were looking at class sizes and the impacts of the size of the classroom based on student outcomes. One outlier from those results was that they also found that there was a differentiation between the race of the teacher. So if a student had a teacher in grades kindergarten through third, I think, that was the same race as them, they did this longitudinal study where they saw that the students had a 9% higher likelihood of graduating from high school and a 6% additional likelihood of going to high school compared to their peers who didn't have the same teacher. They replicated the study. Johns Hopkins did it in 2018. They just did an update to it, I think, last year, which is why this information is fresher in my mind, because we've been talking about it in Boston. So I mean, yes, there are other factors. Human connection, of course, is like that's the biggest pull, is that, somebody who just gets it. It doesn't really necessarily matter. It might not necessarily matter what that person looks like, but the data has been replicated to show that there was an outcome that was worth mentioning.
So are we suggesting that, and let's keep in mind, we have budget constraints.
Right.
Are we suggesting that we now need to create Latin classrooms, white classrooms, black classrooms, pink classrooms, purple hair, transgender, cisgender, gender neutral, gender transformative, a malleable gender? I mean, help me understand what we're talking about here.
The reason why I mentioned it is just that's one challenge. I don't know what the answer is. The question was, what are some challenges and what are some what was it, benefits or something, opportunities and challenges? That's one challenge, is that when you have a predominantly white staff and the students could have better outcomes if they had teachers of a different race, then that would be a challenge. I'm not suggesting a solution for it. I don't know what that answer is, but.
Okay, now see, so to everybody that thinks like me, when I read that, I highlighted, like, what are we, I'm scared. Like, remember yesterday, I saw you at the fair, I said, you scare me. This is one of the things. A lot of
guys, Todd, it's okay.
This is one of those things. So this is a lesson on how we have, Wendy, friend of the show, intentional conversations, right? Mm-hmm. We need to give you a chance to explain this, because it feels like you're running. All right, that's a little hyperbolic. But this is something that if anyone can infer, and this is why we don't do these surveys. You should never, as a politician, do these.
Fill out a questionnaire.
Do not fill out questionnaires. Yeah. Do not go into environments where you're only allowed 30 seconds to answer the same question everybody else is answering.
I'm nervous about Thursday, to be honest with you.
That's what's happening to you Thursday, and I really wish people wouldn't have gone to it, but it's too late now.
I know.
Anyway, so I'm glad we asked that question, because so remember I said you confused me. Like, yeah. This is kind of progressive word salad. I don't know if you've heard me say that before, but anyway. So then another question comes up, support from the school committee. And this one, I know where they were going with this question. Your big answer, the big part of your answer, I'll highlight just to save time. Support from a school committee member looks like an open line of communication. It looks like a willingness to listen and understand, or attempt to understand, the challenges and successes each side of the table has experienced. As a public school employee, it matters to me when school committee members seek the input of personnel. So I just want to clarify, because I'm pretty sure you know this. It's really not you really don't have an open line to each individual school committee member, because that could potentially cause problems.
Right, I know. Yeah. It's the union. I know.
Okay. But I think I get what you're saying. Hi there. Who's a good dog? Not them. Come on in.
I love live streaming.
Yeah. Hey, wait, Scott. I mean, Scott handled the canine. He was he's the dog whisperer.
30 years.
Whisper to those dogs.
Yeah.
So just to get back to this, this was a setup question, because every time this question gets asked, and it's all about, will you support a contract? That's what it means to the WTA. Will you support a contract? So, but I do agree, we need, the school committee, in my opinion, should be like they have in the private schools, where they elect the parents. It shouldn't be as political as it is, unfortunately, because it is what it is. And now this is why we deal with money messes. But I do believe that you should listen to the teachers through their representation or in controlled meetings, and they should listen to you through coming to meetings, participating. The sad part is they only show up when it's a contract negotiation.
Yeah, I think honestly, figuring out a way to, I mean, obviously everybody's invited, but like figuring out a way to, I don't know, formalize that invitation. Like, we ask that, teachers from different schools come and be present and hear what the conversations that are at the table. I also think that's going to help people understand better what school committee is and does. I think that's a great idea. Well, and I'm going to, I like to keep things very simple. You have two jobs as a school committee member: the budget and well, actually three jobs.
Your number one job is to protect the children through the budget and hiring a good superintendent and managing the superintendent. The rest is kind of, side salad, if you will. Yes, you have to negotiate contracts. The unfortunate part of the way contracts are negotiated is, if you guys, if as a school committee member, you try to, somehow involve the public, you're not allowed to, and people aren't able to put their input in until it's too late. By the time the public knows what's in the contract and the way their money's being spent, it's over. It's too late. Right. So I only have one more question. So question 7 was, how can the school committee create space for constructive dialogue, both within its membership and within the wider Winthrop Public School community? Again, with the word salads and the cute little, progressive phrases, create space. For what? So I need 3 feet, 5, what is 6 feet? Are we talking about, mass? What are we talking about?
It's essentially setting norms for the conversation, right? Like, let's agree to disagree. Let's find ways to respectfully approach each other. At least that was my answer for it. But I believe the question was, how can we set norms so that the back and forth is more constructive?
Okay. I would share that I had an experience when I served, and this is what set the tone for me with the negotiations, because frankly, I was insulted. I was on the negotiating team, and at the time, the president of the local union slid over a piece of paper with what they asked for. Now, historically, I don't think Winthrop has ever given more than 3.5 in any 1 year. Historically, it's been 1.5, 2, or less, 5.75, whatever. Whatever. 12, 12, 12. No explanation, no reason why. 12, 12, 12. Like, that's not negotiating. Because then what they say is, oh, we worked with you. We negotiated good faith. Look, we only took 1%, 2%, and 3%. Right. Yeah. So you're going to be faced with those kind of things. If should you be elected, how are you going to handle those kind of situations?
I mean, when something's happening that's wrong, I have no problem standing up for it, or at least asking questions about it. Like, that's what I care most about, is being informed and figuring out why. I don't know, maybe that's happening for a reason that I'm not privy to, but I'd like to know why. And let's talk about it. I mean, I do this a lot at work. A lot of my job is figuring out, like, why are certain recommendations being made? Why are kids being moved from one program to another? Why didn't we try this first? Why am I only getting this phone call 3 weeks after the problem first arose? Like, let's be proactive. And I think being informed and proactive is going to be the best way to do it.
Scott, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, she knows her answers to the questionnaire.
I did write those.
Yeah. So it's not like
I did not plagiarize.
Let's go with the hot ticket item in the country right now.
Okay.
Other than that disaster in the White House. It's true.
It's so true.
It's true. You are running for a position that is probably, at this point in time in history, has never had more focus put on it. I mean, it's almost like a parental revolution is going on all around the country. Mm-hmm. People that never went to school committee meetings, now they're showing up in droves. And it's because of CRT, mm-hmm. right? Do you know the definition of CRT?
I don't know that there's a formalized definition.
Oh, there is.
Oh, then I don't. Then I actually don't.
Do you know what it's? Do you know the? What's the basis of it? Do you approve of CRT or not?
In what arena?
For the school committee in Winthrop schools. Do you think it should be part of a?
Do it.
It's not a class, like I always say. People think it's taught. No, it's injected into teachings.
Critical race theory is a way of, I don't know, looking at the world, questioning it, considering different sides of things, whatever. As it stands, though, it does not have a place in K-12 schools because it's way too niche a topic. That's not what K-12 schools are for. K-12 schools are to give kids the foundational knowledge and understanding to be citizens in the world. I do think that giving them the prerequisite skills, where if they're interested in CRT at the higher level, like in higher ed, which is where it's discussed more and explored.
Where does higher ed start with you?
College.
In college, okay.
So if somebody were to want to explore it then, which is where it's currently explored, and I never talked about it in college. I was a bio and psych major though, so I never would. That's not my interest. It's way too niche a topic to dive into and to whittle down and dumb down, and not dumb down, kids aren't dumb, but to simplify into K-12 curricula. It's just too much. It's like talking about, I don't know, molecular cell biology or something, and talking about, you're not doing that in K-12. You're learning the more basics. That way, when you get to the higher level and you have your interests, you're willing to commit the time and money to the topics of your interest. That's where you explore it. I do think that we need to be more realistic about teaching American history, and that there were two sides to most things that happen. And I think that that's okay. I want kids to know how to be critical thinkers and critical listeners. Question the world that you live in. Why did this happen? How can we prevent this from happening? Could we do this better? I think that's a great skill to have.
Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
For the record, the definition of critical race theory is critical race theory is a body of legal scholarship and an academic movement of the U.S. civil rights scholars and activists who seek to critically examine the intersection of race and U.S. law and challenge mainstream American,
liberal.
Pay attention to this.
Liberal, I know.
Liberal approaches. So CRT is a liberal pretty much tool. You don't see conservatives talking about CRT.
Well, in CRT,
CRT is a direct affront to liberalism.
Right.
It is absolutely a direct affront to liberalism. Yet, it seems conservatives are the only ones defending traditional liberalism. And on school committees, you get people that go in there and they don't understand any of this. I can ask 100 liberals, what's the definition of CRT? White bad, black good. It's a very basic answer.
Oppressor oppressed. Oppressor oppressed.
Yeah, it's a division. But I'm sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. Critical race theory has also become this catch-all phrase for anything when we're talking about racism, systemic racism. It's also been widely criticized in academia for a number of reasons. It's considered to potentially favor legal, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word that I'm looking for?
It's division.
But it's an opportunity for judges and lawyers to act in such a way for a different outcome as opposed to just following the law. So the request for jury nullification for O.J. Simpson, for example, that's looked at very critically through the CRT lens. I think that criticizing.
Well, that was a jury of his peers.
I'm just saying.
That's how the jury selection was done. It's a jury of his peers.
I know. I'm just saying.
Right.
When you look at certain things, you can look at it from more than one side. That's what I'm saying. And I think that critiquing a theory as it stands, that's a good way to look at things. I think that's fine.
So on that note, then, any of the more progressive folks that are listening tonight, we'd love to have a conversation about how we view it and you view it right here on our show sometime after the election. Have another intentional conversation. Just going back to CRT, just to add to Scott's definition a little bit. The core idea, okay? The core idea is that race is a social construct, okay? And that racism, so that basically says
I know.
Never mind. And that racism is not merely the product of individual bias or prejudice, but also something embedded in legal systems and policies. Can you see how people will read that and be like, what planet do we live on?
Sure, I can. I also do think that racism has played a pretty significant role in American history, and it has shaped the way that. Go ahead. Okay. It's world history. It's played a significant role in world history. You're right.
And it hasn't been just against Black people either.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
The Irish came over here and were treated worse than anybody.
1,000%.
Yeah, but that's not part of American history. Anyways, that's not your fault. That's not your fault. Just like my people that came from Ireland in the 1800s never owned a slave in America, yet I'm supposed to pay the price for it. Just saying.
And I get where people's feelings about that come from, and it's hard to absorb and it's hard to listen to. I get it. I do think that systemic racism exists. I do. Black and brown boys are identified more as needing special education services. They're referred more for.
Well, what time out? What's the system that's broken? What's the system that's broken?
There are a lot of systems.
What's a system that's racist?
Yeah.
Because something that lives, something that doesn't live, cannot be racist. We got to start there. You're taught. Now you've triggered. I'm triggered because I can agree with you. By the way, let me tell you where I come from. If you haven't heard already, triggered. I love this show. I come from the place where education is the civil rights issue of our time, and it is hurting the Black people the most. And I think it's shameful. It is utterly shameful that Democrat politicians and teachers unions have fought tooth and nail against things like charter schools, vouchers, anything that puts them in a competitive situation is disgraceful. I get it. There are going to be charter schools that are not going to be good. There are public schools that are horrendous. Go to any inner city school in Chicago in the South Side. You're not going to find a whole lot of learning going on in there. Okay, so I think
we got her answer. Actually, her answer got her a vote.
Yeah. Well, no.
When you said it doesn't belong in K through 12,
yeah, this should have ended.
Gave you his vote. See how that works? See how this show works?
Well, but I want to go back because you did also say we should teach history. There's two sides to every story. Okay. Yeah. So do you have specific examples or some color of how we're not doing that in the classroom today?
It's not that I have specific examples where I think we're doing anything wrong. People keep asking, like, what curriculum change would you support? I would support, after reviewing it, because I believe in being informed before making a decision, but I would support, like, hey, maybe, the Christopher Columbus thing is it's Columbus Day, whatever. So like when I was growing up, everything was 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And we didn't really learn anything else. Like, of course, I'm not going to talk to a second grader about rape and pillage.
I was going to say, it's a little deep.
I am not.
They just showed Columbus discovered America. That was the gist of that whole thing. I mean.
But there's more to it that we could explore.
Oh, there is. And we learned that, though, didn't we?
Yeah. We did. We learned it. And we knew it. We know it. So here's where I'm going with this. If the two sides is we should shame our old white rich founding fathers for throwing the tea in the ocean. If we should shame ourselves for having our first president having been a slave owner, all that stuff, we should shame we should shame the damn world because everybody participated in this mess, and people forget that the people that you share lawn signs with sometimes in some areas of this town forget that America freed slaves. Okay, we are the ones. USA, baby.
I don't think that systemic racism is like anti-American. I think that we wind up getting caught up in this whole like anti-American pride thing. So like that's my take on it. Like I do believe that systemic racism has negatively affected people who do not look like me.
Okay.
This could be another show.
Yeah, it could be, and I could go a bunch of different places with this because
we'd love. I mean, after the election is all said and done, I mean, you can come back on, and if you would want to have that discussion, point counterpoint. We've actually been discussing this. We're kind of throwing around some names that would be good for that topic, but for tonight. Let me just get us a little back on track. So at the bottom of the screen, Petrie for School Committee at gmail.com. If anybody wants to drop a line to Layne and, show you support or ask her questions, you can reach her at Petrie for School Committee at gmail.com. We're coming up on an hour. Mm-hmm. So I think, look at that. Someone wants to talk to you, Layne.
It's Wendy Millard, no doubt.
That's okay. Friend of the show.
Yes, sir.
You're on Winthrop Votes live stream. Who's calling, please?
Hey, it's your friend of the show.
Wendy.
Don't get me started on this whole topic where you people just went off on crazy. But okay, that's a whole nother crazy train conversation another night.
Okay, what's up?
Layne,
Yes.
what do you think about finding ways to create, because of everyone talks about the nightmare that is the loop at Fort Banks Elementary School. Talk to me about your thoughts on an access road, or developing a way that we could have find funding to do buses. And for me, it's the environmental impact as well of, all those cars sitting there idling, waiting. Do you have any opinions on finding ways to do that?
I do. Again, I have no idea where the money would come from. And I actually asked Todd if I would be elected to school committee, if I could pick his brain, because I know he had a busing initiative. And I think that is going to make school more accessible for kids in general. It's the drop-off times that overlap between 3rd through 5th grade and kindergarten. It's the exact same time. That's a huge challenge. Getting kids to, different buildings all across the town is a huge challenge. And 8:15 start time for a lot of families is just difficult in general. A lot of people are supposed to be at work at 8 or 9. And finding ways to increase accessibility to school, either through buses, before and after school programs, you name it. I think minimizing the traffic is a goal for sure.
Excellent. And what about things in terms of special projects, in terms of one of the biggest things that we're going to be facing financially is the vote on the vocational school. We're looking at a potentially massive drain on a very tight budget.
500K.
Do you have thoughts or opinions on a direction that we should go? And then follow up with that for, as somebody like me, I believe you strive for as much education as the person wants, but not everyone needs a PhD. Not everyone wants a master's. Right. Not everyone. There are people who are born to work with their hands, or to drive a truck. They love it. So how do we balance that out? So that's a twofold question for you. And I'm going to hang up now, gentlemen, and just listen to the responses.
Thank you for calling as usual, Wendy. Friend of the show.
Physical space is a challenge, but figuring out, shop classes. I was actually just talking with somebody earlier who was saying that when her son was in middle school, they'd canceled the sewing classes, the cooking classes, the carpentry classes, and he's an engineer now. He works with his hands. That's what he's good at. So missing out on those opportunities and those classes for kids who are interested in that, who can feel successful in that, because I also believe that school should be a place where kids get to feel successful in some capacity or another. Some kids are great at sports, some kids are great at music. School's not necessarily everyone's forte. So if I know that physical space will be an issue, because you can't just fabricate, a carpentry, a woodworking shop out of nowhere. But if we can find a way to do it, I think business partners in the community would also be an excellent resource to do it, because it might minimize the space issue and also give kids an opportunity to have real life exposure to things that they might not otherwise have exposure to, where they might find an interest that they can make a career out of. They might be able to get employment opportunities and then make money for themselves and build their resumes before they leave school. That's all awesome. I think that was the answer to the question.
Okay. All right. What do you see? What's your take on school choice?
School choice. This is an interesting issue. So in Winthrop, we have 21 kids enrolled in school choice right now. It costs the town about $5,000 per kid to send a student to another district, unless they enroll in online school. And this really irks me, because the Commonwealth online school costs $86 and change. I don't really know why. They're not going anywhere. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I get that some kids benefit from it, though. I will say this. I had a student last year or a year and a half ago, when school shut down and he was learning in person, he was engaging in academic work for the first time in 3 years, because it took the social challenges out of it. And he had to log on and put forth an effort, as opposed to sitting in his classroom and flipping through comic books. So I get that for some kids, that's what they need. And I'm fine with that. School choice is tough, though, because of course we want to find ways to keep the money in town. But $5,000 a kid is a lot less than $15,000 a kid, which is what we pay for our kids here. So if we were able to have the space and the capacity, if we could build some more creative programs, again, this would be a long-term thing. And I know that the money's not there to do it now. But if we could build programs like, dual enrollment programs where we're hosting them on site, kids from other districts might prefer to come here and then we could wind up bringing some money in. It's tough because you don't wind up bringing in a whole lot, but if you build it, they will come. If the program's already built, you might be able to minimize the cost per student that we already have here.
So you're for it or against it?
It's a tough, the way that it's operating right now in Winthrop. I mean, losing the 21 kids, that's $100,000. It's 1% of our student body, though.
So I like the way you look at it. You're looking at it from a business perspective, and sometimes you have to do that.
Well, if we were to operate,
those are the tough decisions. Right?
If we were to operate this school district as a business, this is going to be a great soundbite. Shut them all down and send them all to school choice.
Okay.
But
all right.
Do that, and we want to make things accessible for kids and keep them home. Not like in home, not in home, but I mean like, close to home, like their community, involved in their community.
Yeah. The trade-offs are, the East Boston schools are probably going to start to see an uptick in their condition and dollars because the values of the properties are going up so high. So there could be something for that in the future. There could be some thought of district sharing too, because we don't have a huge student body. Mm-hmm. And I see it shrinking, but that is something that does not go over well with people like myself in the short run because of the whole community aspect of Winthrop, which I already feel like we're losing. Yep. Because we're turning in, we're going between the projects that are already started and the projects that are being fought for right now and the projects that are already slated to get started. Winthrop is going to be East Boston light. That train's out of the gate. So, boy, that so you again hit on a lot of things that you want to get done, and a lot of them I like. I mean, I like a lot of your ideas. I think they're smart, but again, and you've said it yourself, it goes back. The budget's not going to be there. Mm-hmm. Actually, it could be there. There is a way it could be there, and you know exactly how it's going to be there. You're walking in, I'm going to bring it up again, you're walking into a 3-year negotiation cycle. You have to, if you get elected, and you want to get your agenda put through, and candidly, you have some good ideas. If you want to get your agenda through, you have to get the votes to get the money. And the only way you're going to get the money is in that 3-year contract cycle that you're negotiating. There has to be at least 1-0, mm-hmm. or a really small, with a concession on steps and lanes that you were talking about to try to help reduce that cost. I personally think we should eliminate it because, again, I don't think you need your master's degree to teach K through 12, frankly. I think it should be subject driven. Maybe if you're teaching advanced physics or things that really require, but, and this is not knocking kindergarten teachers at all, but because their job is challenging in a different way, right? They don't get to leave to go to the bathroom. They're, sometimes they're trying to herd cats. It's a whole lot of different. It's just different. So anyway, I wanted to kind of throw that out there. But you tell me, are you prepared to do? How's this? I'll make it easy. Are you prepared to do what's necessary to get your agenda through?
Yeah, it provided that if I can formulate the thoughts and ideas that I've already said, if I can formulate a way to execute them, and if I know what that could look like, and I truly believe that that's going to be what benefits the students of Winthrop most, then yeah.
All right.
I won't be harebrained about it, but yeah.
When we have, and by the way, I'd be happy to talk to you about buses.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It was a very successful program, though my friend Gus would disagree, but we can get the people behind the scenes to vouch for how successful it was.
All right. Well, actually, Layne, you took us over an hour. Look at you. Wow.
All that sweating on Saturday for nothing.
No.
But we know you won 2 votes tonight. So let's start wrapping this up. I just want to say, Layne, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I wish you good luck, like I do to all the candidates that come on here.
Thank you.
We aren't resentful if a candidate doesn't come on our show, like some people are when you don't fill out their questionnaire. Mm-hmm. We're not resentful. Mm-mm. We were more than glad to have you on. Anything you want to say in closing?
I don't think so. I think we talked about a lot of stuff today. I think this was enjoyable for me. So thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you get elected, don't let your political views get in the way. Mm-hmm. That's all I ask. Yeah. So, and you seem to you said a couple of the right things when you said, I want to make an informed decision, which is what everybody should do in that position.
Right.
So I want to thank you, Todd.
Yeah, I think you represented yourself very well here tonight, Layne. I think my question will always remain. I've shared this with you in person. I would never not be honest with you. I think it's hard for me. It's very, very hard. That being said, I agree with Scott. You did well. You really came across great. You have some good ideas, and the whole reason not the whole reason, but one of the big reasons we're doing this thing is to get this type of conversation going with folks of different minds, right? Because the only way the town of Winthrop saves itself from itself is, one, for its members that are willing to work together, and two, she just threw me off with that one, Scott. I just lost my train of thought.
She got you.
Wendy, Anyway, we can avoid the second thing is we avoid a lot of anger and hatred towards each other when we actually seek to understand. We had really two good examples of it tonight in the answers that you provided in those questions. So I think you did great. I want to wish you luck. If you want to come back on before election, if you've got something you want to add, let us know.
Thank you. I will say I'm honestly encouraged that there are 7 people running for school committee. That shows that a lot of people have passion for their kids in the public school districts, and that's beautiful. I think that's great. I don't think anybody's running for the wrong reasons.
So just a heads up to the viewers and to you, Layne. This is me and Todd have been talking about this. Winthrop Votes isn't going away after the election. We're actually rebranding as Winthrop Votes the Issues. So we're going to be paying attention now to all the candidates, all the people that get elected. And that's not a threat. That's just...
No, I think that's great.
Yeah, and we want to do this because we are starting to get some traction and people are happy that we're doing this. And we're making a small difference in certain areas.
Some people,
and we're going to continue to do this. What's that?
Some people aren't too happy.
Well, that's the nature of politics, right? And that's the nature of doing one of these shows. You're not going to please everybody. I hope you found Todd and I kind of trying to stay in the middle with you. That's our objective. Is we don't want anybody to think we're gonna. When you got Wendy's vote, you actually got Hannah Belch's vote.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Look at that.
I had some really, really nice conversations throughout this whole campaigning trip that I've been on. And I'm very fortunate to have as many people say that they support me and as I have. So that's great.
Todd and I are going to be watching now. So
please do.
Maybe after the people that, after they get elected, we'll be more than happy to have them on. We got another month or so.
I'm
less than a month.
So I think that's great.
And so what's the deal with the Meet the Candidates? That's when?
Thursday night.
Where?
It's at the Point Shirley Association. So fortunately, that's about 12 paces that way for me, which is great.
Is that going to be televised on WCAT or it's?
I think it's going to be
recorded. Recorded. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Todd, you want to take us out?
Yeah, I do. Thanks again. Thank you to the viewers, the folks who commented. Thank you to everyone who's going to be rewatching. We have hit 263 people, members. That's a milestone for us, and we're climbing. And it's because of you, people like you, Layne, and it's because of our audience that continues to spread the word. So if you think we're doing good things, spread the word. Remember, all politics starts at the local level, and again, frankly, should stay there. So have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night. If you are interested, we're going to be dissecting the debate. I would title it Sex, Lies, and Videotape, but it's not that juicy.
Yikes. All right. Well, I'm going to take us out. Layne, stay on. Todd, stay on. Everybody, we'll see you tomorrow night and then next Monday night.
Thanks, guys.
All right.